I am absolutely devastated. I really wanted Liverpool to win that Champions League final, but it is what it is. They had a good match. And let me tell you something. If Mohamed Salah is not in the World Cup, I am buying a ticket to Russia. I'm going to meet Sergio Ramos. I'm gonna beat him up so bad. But on a brighter note, let's talk about Solo. By the way, I have these things on my tongues. It's kind of like herpes, not herpes. But it's kind of hurt. It's kind of I can take the pain, but it's stink when I talk. So I'm gonna have a lot of trouble talking in this video. So just bear with me. I'm gonna try my best. I think Solo: A Star Wars Story is the first Star Wars movie that got a bunch of hate even before it was made. Like the moment it was announced, like there was already hate from fans, mostly fans. And the main complaint is that this movie doesn't feel genuine. It feels too much like a cash grab, and it's just kind of useless. Like nobody asked for a Han Solo origin story, and the origin of his gun is the origin of his like jacket, and the origin of the Millennium Falcon. Like we don't want to see that. So I understand why fans are upset, but when I go see a movie, I tend not to think about those things too much, because I just want to give the movie the benefit of the doubt, right? And just trying to keep an open mind and just watch the movie for what it is. And I've got to say, the movie surprised me. It really did surprise me, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Of all the new Star Wars movies that we've got, starting with A Force Awakens, we got like 4 of them now. This is probably the worst out of the 4, but it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie at all. It started off a bit clunky, like the first act with Drac, and the editing wasn't the best in that first act. It's a bit sloppy, and as I was watching, I was like, whoa. I don't like this, man. Like this first act, I really don't like it. But then Han Solo, he met the crew, and they start doing all these jobs together. This crew is led by Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson. And from that moment, the movie really picked up, and it is a lot of fun. Like the action in this movie is amazing. It's phenomenal. The 2 standout action set pieces for me are the train heist and the one where the Millennium Falcon is, in this sort of cloud, and they're trying to get away from this giant monster with like it's kind of with like squid like arms. The reason why I love those 2 scenes that much is because the stakes were really high, and there were real stakes right there. And for a prequel movie about Han Solo, because we all know Han Solo is going to survive by the end of this movie. So it's really difficult to make the stake that high in the action scene. I mean, you could have fun with it, but then, you take away a lot from the audience when, they know that this character is going to be fine by the end of this action sequences and by the end of the movie. So for me, that was very impressive how they raised the stake with those 2 action sequences. And it was a lot of fun. Ron Howard, he directed one of my favorite movies that year, Rush, starring Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Brühl. He's really good at directing action with like a vehicle, like with the Millennium Falcon and with the train. I think that's his strength, like directing action with like some type of vehicle moving. I know there are a lot of critics out there saying this movie is a very fast-paced adventure. To some extent, that's true. The pacing of this movie is weird. It's kind of like a roller coaster. Sometimes it's really, really slow, and then all of a sudden it's super, super fast, and then slow again, and it's super, super fast, and then slow. Like it's not a slow pace or a fast paced movie. I think the scores was alright. I mean, it's not the best. It's no John Williams, but I'll take it. I mean, it's okay. It sounds like Star Wars music to me, but it is no John Williams. Let's talk about Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo for a second, because if him playing young Han Solo doesn't work, this movie would be a complete failure. And I feel like he did a pretty good job playing this iconic role. I mean, I didn't want him to do a impression of Harrison Ford, because I do understand that this is a very young Han Solo, and he is a different person. Like me 5-10 years ago, I was a completely different person compared to now. He did a pretty good job holding his own and creating a fairly interesting character in young Han Solo. And I love his relationship with his crew, with Beckett, and with Kira, played brilliantly by Khaleesi, Emilia Clarke, of course, and the two of them have great chemistry, and their relationship is, in a way, the backbone of the story. This is like a slight spoiler thing that I'm about to say. It's not really. I mean, it's not going to ruin your experience with the movie. But so the movie opened up with them at young age, and they got separate. I'm not going to get into how, but basically it got separate, right? And then they went on their own path, and Han is like, oh, I'm going to find you. And then you cut to 3 years later. I feel like that was a mistake. I feel like they should have opened the movie with them as, teenagers, like young kids, really in love with each other, growing up with each other, and then got separated. And instead of 3 years, maybe push it to like 5, even 10 years. Like, the moment he sort of gives up on fighting Kira, all of a sudden they bump into each other due to circumstances, and then I feel like that would have been much more impactful than what they did in the movie. But my biggest problem with Han Solo in this movie is that, remember in the original trilogies and even in Force Awakens, every time Han Solo is on screen, 9 times out of 10, he's the best part of that scene. It's not really the case with this movie, even though he's the main character now, and he got much more screen time. The character's not the actors, but like now Han Solo is the front, the main character. He doesn't really steal the show for me, especially when Lando shows up, played magnificently by Donald Glover. So charming, so likable. And speaking of Lando, I like him. Matter of fact, I love him. I love Donald Glover's takes on this very charming, very smooth character. But my problem with him is that he doesn't really do much. He's not that integral to the plot. Like, he'll show up and he'll be really cool, and he got this relationship with this droid, and it's very cool. It's funny, and you like seeing him. You like his presence in the movie, but he doesn't really do much. So that was a bit disappointing. That Lando just kind of show up to be cool and to look cool. But in terms of contribution to the plot, he not that much, not really. And the movie doesn't really have a villain. There's always been a villain, like a main villain of a Star Wars movie, but not in this movie. I guess like Dryden Voss, played by Paul Bettany. I guess he's the villain, but he's in like 2 scenes. Like, literally, he's in 2 scenes of the movie. All in all, I had a good time watching this movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's not the best. It's like, again, it's probably the worst Star Wars in the new Star Wars movies that we're getting now. It's probably the worst out of the 4. But it's still a lot of fun. And I feel like as fans, if you go in not wanting to hate the movie and trying to keep an open mind, it might surprise you. It really surprised me. So despite some pacing issues and the fact that Han Solo now as the main character doesn't really stand out as much as when he was being a supporting character. Again, there are some fantastic action sequences, really well directed, and some really enjoyable character interaction. Oh, let's talk about Chewie. I totally forgot about Chewbacca. The scene where Chewbacca and Han, they met for the first time. It was gold, man. Like, I really dig how they handled that scene. It was a lot of fun. And that was the movie was. A lot of fun. I'm going to give Solo, a Star Wars story, a 7 out of 10. It doesn't take a lot of chances. Overall, it's a pretty safe Star Wars movie. Like, this movie plays very safe. They're not trying to change the lore too much. You could watch this movie and your feeling towards Star Wars as a whole would not be changed. It doesn't make Star Wars better, but it doesn't make Star Wars worse. It's just a movie. Hey guys, if you got a chance to see Solo, a Star Wars story, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And if you enjoyed my review, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. And with that being said, I'll see you soon.